Hey you guys, I'm back. Okay, so excuse me, I'm drinking some coffee. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and just excuse me, just go ahead to continue what I was talking about earlier regarding cutting off. Okay, so some simple signs that you need to know about when it's ready, when it's time to cut someone off. Dating, friendship, stuff like that. Specifically dating, okay, is the number one would be ambivalent. Okay, so ambivalent is like we talked about in the other video. You're sitting on the fence. If you are at the point where you have to get to that point where you're like, yeah, I need to figure this out, what should I do, that's a big sign that there's a problem, and you probably need to immediately cut them off. Okay, because if you have to stop and think about it, like, you know what I'm saying, there's a problem. Okay, so we talked about that the last video. Number two is not willing to change. You bring something to their attention like, hey, I didn't like it when you said this. I didn't like it when you did that. You said you were going to follow through with this, but you didn't end up doing it. And then here we are again talking about the same problem. And they will do things. So this is a sign that you should cut them off or her off. Is they will ignore you. They will say you're tripping. They will they'll try to make you believe that you're over exaggerating. Okay, they'll want to try to convince you that something's wrong with you, not them. Okay, some people would call this like gaslighting. But they will do things, right? So you have a request, you're like, hey, you really need to work on this, like this is bothering me, this is affecting me, like this isn't right. They will either ignore you. This could be through text messages, ignore your calls, ignore your texts, ignore you altogether, ignore just what you're saying. Some people will, if you communicate through text or call, they'll ignore that part. But if you bring it up to them in person, some people won't ignore you, but they will argue. They'll try to do an argument. They'll try to create an argument, and then make you believe that you're tripping, or that it's not that big of a deal, or So right then and there, this person's invalidating you. They pretty much what they're communicating to you is that your feelings don't matter, your needs don't matter, and essentially they don't care. Like they're not going to do anything about it. So you either have to put up with it or cut them off. Really good, very, very good sign that you should cut them off, okay? Because it only gets worse, okay? It only gets worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So this is regarding dating and cutting off. You guys, this one, this is from my experience. So this last one is like the cream of the crop one that if you're a spiritual, okay? Like y'all know I've talked about how I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I don't do religion. I do spirituality. Okay, I have a relationship with God, universe. I have a relationship with animals, with nature, etc. Okay, Jesus, right? Angels, angel numbers. You know what I'm saying? I'm highly spiritual. Okay. That being said, if you are highly spiritual, okay, and you work on yourself spiritually, and the person you are dating, put my glasses on, and the person you are dating is not spiritual, I'm telling you right now, you can do two things. You can do more than two things, but there's two things that you for sure need to consider. Number one, cut them off. And it's not that you're better than them. It has nothing to do with that per se. Because you might be better than them, actually. Well, you are better than them spiritually, actually, but they may be better at whatever else, right? Working on electricity, right? And you're not, right? So that would be an example. But spiritually, you are better than them. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, it's kind of like who has more food, right? Like, okay, so this person has one apple, and then this person has like apples, peaches, and pears, and plums. Like, well, obviously this person with more fruit, it has more resources, has more wealth and health. Okay, this person doesn't. So it is what it is. It's not to be conceited or anything like that, but it's kind of like, you know what you know, or you don't know anything, right? And so those will perish, right? Those who deny God will perish. Those who deny God will have to reap the consequences, right? And spiritually, you're not a good match. Okay, so it's not going to be a good match. You're always going to have you're always going to be in conflict with each other's perspectives and ideas, because you're like, this person's not coming from a spiritual standpoint, right? This person's coming from carnal, they're coming from, material, they're coming from a lack of knowledge. Like, it's going to be extremely difficult to date this person. And I know, because I've dated people who don't believe in God. And the reason why I did that is because different reasons, but it's like, okay, I won't do it again. Tell you that right now. I wouldn't do it again. Now let me tell you why. What you're going to do is you're going to try to help them. You're going to try to instill these belief systems. You're going to try to get them to open their mind, open their horizons. And it usually doesn't work. Okay. Because it just doesn't. Like, these people have denied God. They deny the existence of something bigger, greater than themselves. They're denying a higher power. Okay. The devil already has them. I remember I've dated 2 guys that didn't believe in God. One maybe for like 2 months, and then the other one was like 5 years. But the one for 5 years was open-minded. He would go to, he tried. He really, really did try. He struggled, but he tried. And he would kind of like go back and forth, because he wasn't raised that way. He's never had, these people do not have relationships with God. They weren't raised that way. They weren't told, they weren't taught. They've never paid attention to the signs and the symbols. They've never paid attention to the blessings that God gives them. They think everything's just earthly. Those people are usually, not all, right? And I don't want to offend anybody, but they're pretty miserable people. Okay. At the end of the day, they're pretty miserable people. They turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol. Now, like, I'm talking about like on a regular kind of like basis. Like, these people they're not well. They have addictions to many different things. And I'm not just talking about weekend use and stuff like that. I'm talking about they're dependent. They need drugs and alcohol on a daily basis okay. They're dependent because they have no spiritual health. They don't have spiritual health, so they have to turn to something to numb, to turn to turn off that switch, right? To turn on the switch, like, to just get by. Like, it's lame. It's sad. It's not healthy. Okay. So if the person is not spiritual and you are spiritual, trust me right now, you're not going to get along, because you will be at the advantage, right? Spiritually, you will be at the advantage because you are more positive, but realistic. Okay. People can't trick you. You know what I'm saying? When you're spiritual, you have your antennas are loud and clear. Okay. You know how to read through people. You know how to allow nature to give you signs and symbols about what's going on and messages. Like, you can be alone, right? You know how to enjoy your time just with you in nature, or with your pet, right? Your dog, your cat. Most of these people